it's Paul McFadden here, and welcome to the Property Success Podcast, where my goal here is to bring in amazing guests so you can be inspired about their own journey. That's the whole purpose of doing this podcast. And for time after time, we're able to invite people on. And what I love about the conversations I have is we take it way back to find out about their own background, what got them excited about getting in property in the first place, but more importantly, when they started to get involved, what deals they're working on, where they're progressing, and off the back of that, the amount of comments that we get, the people that reach out talk about how they're inspired by hearing other people's journey. That's what it's all about. And today's podcast guest is Paddy McKay. How are you, sir?
Yeah, good, thank you.
That's
Thanks
good
for having me.
Yeah, absolute pleasure to have you on board. I'm looking forward to having our chat because, you know, it's one of the things for me is that I get to just observe and see what people are up to and what they're doing in their journey. And you've been involved in property for a few years now.
Yep.
But what I like to do is get back to the Paddy before property, your upbringing and your whole journey to get involved in property. So maybe take us back a little bit first.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Sort of came from a working class background, you know. Both parents sort of had sort of working class jobs, you know, it was a lot of fun growing up and that sort of thing. But yeah, I think just from at school, I was always kind of quite intelligent in terms of, you know, used to get good test results and all that sort of stuff. And I've always been sort of ambitious. I always knew that I could, you know, go on to I've always wanted to be a sort of an inventor or an entrepreneur or a sort of businessman. So I just always had like ambition from a young age and stuff in school. And that's, sort of always had a good mindset about, you know, taking risk and reward and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I think even from a sort of young age, you know, so was always just learning as much as I could and always wanting to just you know, develop myself, that type of thing.
Yeah. So for a lot of people that have that kind of mindset and feel like they want to be an entrepreneur or a business owner or inventor or anything else, they've maybe got some stories or some crazy things they did at a young age for that to kind of be the case. Like for me, for example, because I felt much the same and it just radiated towards having a paper round.
Yeah.
You know, simple little things like that.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, you're starting to look at anything you can do to make some money.
Absolutely. So I had 2 paper rounds. Yes, I had one midweek. And
Every
one on a
entrepreneur
Sunday morning.
started with a paper round, you know, it's amazing.
Absolutely. And then I worked part-time in a garden centre. I used to deliver leaflets for them. Then I get, you know, the owner sort of took a shine to me. I used to then get shifts on the, you know, serving customers and all that sort of stuff as well. Yes, I've always sort of had, you know, part-time jobs. Even when I started at an apprenticeship when I was 16, and I still used to work for a local takeaway shop, you know, on a Friday, Saturday night just to make extra money, you know. So I've always been a sort of hard worker and just always, you know, wanted to make money so I can have a good lifestyle. And then, you know, now I've got a family, you know, so means I can give them a good upbringing and good experiences.
Love it. And what was the apprenticeship?
It was a mechanical engineer contract in Glasgow. Apprenticeship, it was in the shipyards in Glasgow.
And was that the journey you went on in terms of the apprenticeship side of things, and how did that evolve from there?
Yeah, I was quite keen to sort of leave school and get a job, you know, so as soon as I could, I sort of left, you know. I wasn't, at that point in time, I wasn't wanting to go down the sort of academical route. I just wanted to, you know, get my hands dirty sort of thing. So yeah, it was a 3-year apprenticeship. The third year, there was 100 sort of apprentices. I was the youngest of 100. I won the Apprentice of the Year in that third year, so that was quite good. And then I was the youngest tradesman on the yard basically. But from there, you know, a lot of folk at that point, you know, they were, you know, it was a 3 years at college type of thing, but I was chosen to go back and do the sort of the HNC, and then I went back to do the HND, and I went on to do a degree part time. So like all of that was, you know, night school, after work sort of thing. So I've always been a busy person. You know, I've never been one to just want to sit about and, you know, laze about, watch TV. I've always been like wanting to just better myself and improve on things. So yes, I sort of went down that route unintentionally. You know, I had no plans to go to uni. I just sort of, you know, when I finished one course, I was always looking to see what was next. You know, so done the degree part time. Got a few promotions sort of within the business. Got to a point where I realised it would take me a long time to sort of succeed in a corporate career. You know, there was engineers working alongside them. I sort of went into an office job at that point. And, you know, they'd been sat there for 15, 20 years without a pay rise. They'd been fighting for a pay rise. And I just thought, you know, I won't be sat here in 15 years' time trying to get a pay rise out of the company. So left and joined a consultancy, done that for a year, and went on to become a limited company contractor. So just working on contracts for big defence companies in the UK. So that involved a bit of travel. It was sort of one down in the Midlands initially, and then I was at one in Glasgow, one on the south coast of England, and one in the Lake District. So done a little bit of travelling. And yeah, sort of during that time, I was looking at, you know, what else I could be doing to, you know, I didn't want to work my full life in terms of, you know, I was trading your time for money. And that's where I came across sort of property investments and stuff.
Yeah, no, it's a great background. It's great that you saw that quite early on as well, in the sense of being in the corporate world and looking at your peers or those that are further ahead, and asking yourself, well, how much are they earning? How long is it taking for them to get there?
Yep.
What's my next promotion? Am I even going to get rewarded? And sometimes when you're in a big machine, you know, the rewards are almost never there.
Yeah, yeah, it's difficult. I mean, there's a lot of hoops to jump through. You know, I sort of, it was maybe 2.5 years in the final staff position I had. And, you know, maybe after about a year, they were talking about promoting me, and, you know, my immediate line management all put me forward for a promotion. But it was just, you know, the sort of, the bean counters and sort of HR that were like, oh, do want to promote too quickly type of thing. And I sort of seen that straight away, that I would only be up against it and I would be unhappy. So, and then I wouldn't be at peak performance type of thing. So I just, you know, wanted to be in a position where I was like rewarded for my skills and knowledge and effort. And I wanted to, you know, you need to value your worth type of thing. I sort of knew my worth, and I knew I could, you know, yeah, be paid more for my knowledge and experience.
Absolutely. And that's great that you made that kind of transition. And I
Hmm.
guess there comes a certain stage in most people's life where it's just that question about what should I be doing? And I guess that's how you kind of stumbled across property. What was the draw
Yeah.
towards property?
Um, I guess from a young age, you know, like my mate's dad owned some properties, and, you know, they had nice cars and nice clothes and went nice holidays, and you don't know at that age that that's what it is. But even when I started sort of working as an apprentice and then as a sort of tradesman and in the office, you know, there was a few folk that owned maybe a number of buy-to-let properties, and again, you know, they were making money in their sleep type of thing, you know, so I could have been better at what I'd done than them, but they were making more money type of thing, you know. So it's not just about money, but it's what the money can get you, you know, the lifestyle it can provide. So when I was a limited company contractor again, I sort of started to build up some excess funds in the company, and I just wanted to sort of get that to work. So initially I looked at a couple of different types of investment. You know, you kind of you want to explore a few options. So I had a private SIP, so I was investing money in the stock market that way. And I looked at, you know, property investments. I came across some crowdfunded platforms down south in London where you could, you know, invest a certain amount, and, you know, a group of investors purchase a property and you get a percentage of the rental and you get the capital gains. So I looked at some of that stuff. Uh, but then I think I wanted to just, you know, sort of start to do more, either build my own portfolio or just do more development projects. And started, you know, my brother owned a couple of buy-to-lets, and I just, started to explore, you know, the options in property, and, you know, almost bought a couple of properties on the market, just to rent out, and kind of glad I never, after I sort of then done the Protege course.
And you were saying just before we started the podcast that you just saw something that I was doing online, one of my virtual events back in the day. And I guess off the back of that, you decided to invest further in yourself and come along to Protege. So
Yeah.
what we can talk about what you started to do in terms of your first deals and stuff. But how did you find Protege in itself?
Yeah, it was fantastic. Yeah, when I done it, it was a 3-day event. You know, it was packed with, you know, loads of great content. So many strategies in property that I never knew about, wasn't aware of. So it was definitely, you know, for me, I'm always looking to, again, add to my knowledge. It's about continuous development, you know. So as well as getting all the knowledge and information, it was it was getting involved with a network of, you know, folk that are involved in property and building those relationships. So it's, you know, that's sort of been life changing in many ways. You know, sort of doing that course at the first time. And yeah, as you say, it was off the back of, seeing a lot of stuff you were sort of producing, or the content on Facebook.
Yeah, I love that. And I guess off the back of that, you chose to focus a bit more on deal sourcing.
Yeah, so when I come off the course initially, one of the strategies, of course, is finding properties, and if it's one that you maybe don't want to take on yourself, if you don't have the funds or wrong location or for whatever reason, instead of just leaving money on the table, you can sell that to an investor, and there's a lot of people out there that want to buy and own property, but they don't have the time or the knowledge, and they'll pay you a fee. So I started sort of doing that. Done sort of offline, online marketing. I was looking on the market a little bit, but it was that sort of post-COVID market where there was like no stock, there was no house, wasn't many houses on the market, and the ones that were on it were going to a closing date within a week, selling for way over home report, that type of thing. So just too much competition, So I focused my efforts more on off-market properties, so doing a lot more marketing. I was paying some marketing agencies. I was doing some of my own stuff. I was employing local teenagers to go and put leaflets out, and then I was following up, on the poor condition properties and chapping the door and speaking to the owners and putting letters through. So done a lot of that. Then sort of started doing my own sort of Facebook ads, and the very first deal I done, in fact, was off one of my own Facebook ads. The owner, it was somebody that owned a property. They used to rent it out, but it was vacant, and they seen my ad on Facebook, and they phoned me, and I went out and viewed it and managed to secure a deal at quite a good discount.
And was that a deal that you kept for yourself or one you moved on?
I moved that one on,
Moved
yeah.
on.
So with it being the first one, in hindsight, I would maybe onboard a couple of investors and have their criteria narrowed down. But at the time, you come off the course, you're buzzing, you're keen to just get going. And I just sort of went out and started to find the properties. So when I found that one and I secured it, I never had any more investors that would buy it at that point in time. So I just partnered up with someone in the group, and sold that one on type
Yeah.
of thing.
So co-sourced and then split the profits
Yeah, that's
together?
CoSourced that
Yeah.
one, yeah.
What did you make roughly on that one?
So that one, the house was valued at 50k, and we secured it I secured it for 40k. We sold it on for 43 plus fees, so there was about 6k between us on that one.
Which is always great, isn't it?
Yeah,
You know?
it's fantastic. Yeah, and it's obviously good getting the first one over the line, because then you trust the process. You know that it's not just theoretical. And obviously with anything, there's theory and there's practice. And you just you need to put it into practice, and it gives you the belief and the confidence.
Yeah.
To keep doing it and do more.
And that's clearly a theme through everything that you do, because when I meet a lot of people and they talk about how they've been to college, then they go to university, then they got a degree, and then they're studying and they're learning stuff, and then they go and get another degree. They fall into the trap of just learning,
Yeah.
racking up the qualifications, but they lack the actual practicality of taking the action and seeing what actually happens. But that's not been the case with you, which has been amazing, because
Yeah.
everything that you have learned, and you're a lifelong learner, which you should be, we
Yeah.
always are. But it's one of those ones, just like if you're going to invest in a property, invest in property because you want to get a return.
Yeah.
And that's like when you invest in your own education to get knowledge and a skill set that you can improve on,
Yeah.
you expect to get a return. And you're only going to get that if you apply.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
great to see that that's what you started to do, because as you said there, once you've done your first deal, made 6 and a bit grand, okay, co-source and split profits or whatever, but it's the confidence and belief, and as you say there, proof to yourself that it can be done.
Yeah.
And it's just there's just a strange feeling. I'm sure you
Yeah,
experience it yourself.
yeah.
You're like, fuck, I've actually done a deal.
Yep.
And then off the back of that, momentum starts to build. And I know you started doing quite a bit of that co-sourcing and then doing your own stuff too.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think, to touch on what you said about the, going on a course and then applying it, I think a lot of folk, they underestimate, what is involved with applying it. They think they can go out and get results pretty quickly, and it's not. You need to have that mindset where you need to put in the effort, and it's a numbers game. You need to view so many properties, offer on so many, but you only need one to go through, to give you that belief and momentum. and you can't ride a bike from the classroom. You need to go out and put it into practice. So, and that, you're right, there's a lot of folk that become sort of course hoppers. They go from one to the next. And I've done a number of courses, but it's where I felt I was lacking in a certain bit of knowledge or skill set. I would then go and do a course to develop myself in that area, so I can become a more you know well, you want to be all rounded, but you also want to sort of specialise in certain types of things. But yeah, it's as you say, then I sort of did go on to sort of do a little bit more of that. But I think after the first couple of sort of properties that I co-sourced on, that's where I realised that I want to have my own investors and stuff as well. So I did then spend a little bit of time, doing a lot of networking, sort of organically putting stuff on social media, going to business events, joining business groups, and started to build up, my own sort of investors. Some of them I did on board to pay me, upfront fees. Some sort of went onto a mailing list where I would, send deals out on the list, etc.
Yeah, and that's a good process. And what I always kind of explain to anyone who's thinking about getting started on a journey is that not only are you going to source properties for yourself, and of course, if you've got your own criteria and you know what you want to buy, and those opportunities come up, great.
Yep.
But once you understand doing all the different forms of advertising and marketing, especially off market,
Yep.
the best analogy I can give is like a lucky bag. You don't know what you're going to get. You don't know if you're going to get a deal that's going to be a motivated seller. They want to sell quickly. And from that point of view, you're able to assist and help them. And from that, there you can go on and co-source that with someone and make a few £1,000s.
Yep.
It could be a deal that you can flip on and make 50 grand profit as a flip.
Yep.
It could be the perfect deal that could get turned into a service accommodation and give you 3k net income per month. Or it could be simply a deal with the sellers, not that motivated, and you pass it on to an estate agent and they pay your referral fee. So there's multiple different ways that you can make profits from sourcing your own deals.
Yeah.
And clearly that's something that you looked at and saw yourself. And then the missing part, which a lot of people get caught on, and that's why people start co-sourcing, which is perfectly fine because it's all good to do that, is to have those investors, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah,
and once you start to get those investors that understand their criteria, now it gives you a bit more of a laser focus on what to go and find for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you're right. You come off, initially you maybe do look at some stuff on the market, you do some marketing, but it's difficult when that's sort of more the sort of scattergun approach, where you don't really know what you're looking at or what you're looking for, and you sort of, you feel like a busy fool at times where you're putting on a lot of hours, but, it's a whole sort of what smarter, not harder type of thing. So it is important, to get a couple of investors, one minimum, preferably two, because that one could, pull out, or, so you want to kind of cover yourself. But if they give you a set criteria, if they want a 3-bedroom house in a particular area, then you can hone in your marketing on that. You can speak to estate agents. If you build good relationships with them like I done, then they will sort of give you things off market, before they put it on the market. So, various reasons why the seller might want a more private sale. But it does allow you to then, again, focus on that. But you're right, when you're doing your own, I've done a lot of my own sort of marketing, Facebook ads, and again, paying agencies to do Google ads and Bing ads, and, all sorts. And you do come across, all sorts of different property types. And as I was looking at it to say, right, what's, you analyse the numbers, you always start from, the end market value, refurbishment costs, and then, you can then work out your purchase price to understand, what profit you want to make, for example. But again, it doesn't always, fall into to the exit that you'd like. So you're always, you need a plan B and a plan C, and it's like, okay, if I can't buy this one myself, can I flip it, or can I give it to an investor? Or can I give the seller a different sort of strategy to still, secure the deal type of thing? And I at the time, it was quite a difficult market in terms of, it was flooded with buyers and there wasn't a lot of properties for sale. So you found that a lot of the sellers were maybe landlords and tenanted properties, where they'd been in they'd been in the game for so long, and slowly the government had made it more and more difficult, and they just wanted to sort of call it a day. So I found a lot of them, you need to have the right type of investors that will buy them. They tend to be they were a hit or a miss for the investors I was dealing with. Some loved them because it's an instant cash flow. Some didn't like them because they maybe wanted to renovate the property and put their own stamp on it, and then maybe increase the rent off the back of that. But you were always looking to, okay, what if I can't sell this, if I can't process this, again, instead of leaving money on the table, you'd be saying, right, what can I do with it? Can I give it to an auction house? Can I give it to an estate agent? Can I give it to another property investor or sourcer? So you always want to try and monetize it as much as possible. And at one stage, I almost just created paid for a Rightmove account to sell stuff on the market, but I did resist that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what I love about what you're saying here is that when you've got solutions, and I think that that's what we do well at Protege, is to give you as many strategies as you could possibly learn and
Yep.
know for your own benefit. But at the same time, having multiple strategies allows you to be more competitive when you're dealing with sellers who are looking
Yep.
to sell the property, because the common thing is that people think that you're going to be buying a property off market, it's going to be a huge discount. But in a lot of cases, well, sure, that could be, but most of the time, the sellers are not in a position where they can just go and give you a property for 34% below market value.
Yep.
You know, those do pop up, but when you've got other exit strategies, now you can be more competitive. And if you think about the seller first, rather than thinking about what am I going to make out of the deal,
Yeah.
because if you have that mindset and attitude, then sometimes your offer's just not going to be accepted because it just can't work for the seller.
Yeah, absolutely. It is when you do want the seller to get a good outcome. Absolutely, you want it to be a win-win situation, and that's why it's important to ask as many questions as possible when you're speaking to a seller. It's understanding what they want. If you know what they want, you can then give them the best solution. So if they, if they want the highest price and they're in no rush to sell, then I would just say to them, look, just here's a local estate agent I can refer you on to. But so I've looked at a couple that needed a lot of work, a big renovation, and one I maybe look at is a flip, for example. But again, the refurb costs were going up and up and up. Material costs were going up. So it was becoming tighter and tighter to make profit out of sort of flips. But if you're speaking to the seller and they need a certain amount of money, and that might have ruled it out as doing it as a flip, but then you could offer the assisted sale sort of strategy, which again I'd sort of never come across that until sort of Protege, and it's a great sort of tool to have, in your arsenal that you can offer a seller. A lot of maybe amateur sort of property investors that might not know about that strategy would just walk away, whereas there is an option to say, okay, we still can give you the money that you want or need for the property, and we can still do it as a more of a sort of development project, and can still be a good sort of project for your property business.
Yeah, it's all about those options.
Yep.
And so, from your own journey, I know that two things have happened over that whole process. You have started a business as well,
Yep.
which ties into, I guess, a bit more from doing consultancy, but obviously keeping us in a different industry,
Yep.
which you can maybe touch on and talk about as well. And of course, just get more motivated about your property business in the sense of where you're going to be taking that. So maybe have a
Yeah.
little, discussion around that and what the kind
Yeah.
of game plan is for Paddy going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think I was sort of taking down that a sort of more marketing avenue when I was spending a lot of money on marketing with a lot of big agencies, and they never really provided the service or results I was expecting. And I just felt, I don't know, something never sat right with me that we spend a lot of money on Facebook and Google, and we don't have a lot to show for it. So I wanted to change that, and so I was in a business group and I'd done two sort of marketing courses myself, one quite specific to Facebook ads in Glasgow. I'd done one down in Essex, which was wider marketing, but both of them had very similarities in terms of how you do marketing properly. So that sort of gave me confidence, that that's sort of the way to do it. And again, I sort of went out and put that into practice. And, off the back of doing that with my own advertising, I was getting, much better results than what I was paying agencies to do. And the business group I was in built a really good relationship with one of the business owners, and he was launching a marketing agency, and I just said I want to be a partner. So yeah, so we agreed to sort of do a couple of months, sort of, see if we can work together if we're compatible. And yeah, we knocked it off. I brought on a good few clients myself, got some good feedback and good reviews from them. And yeah, so I took it from there. But I found that as my vehicle to do more in property, speak to more, but my sort of target and avatar for my investor, I feel like, was business owners. And you know, a bit like myself, where you can have money in the company, you can open a SaaS as being a, you know, director of a company. So it sort of took me down that route, but some of the work I'd done in engineering consultancy, some of it, you know, was for clients where I just didn't want to be too active on social media. It did hold me back a little bit. So I also seen the marketing as an opportunity for me to then to be a lot more active myself on social media. You know, so I've always done a lot of paid ads, which is good to do them. But I think the end goal is you do want to get a lot of organic results as well. So you do want to be active on social media. You know, if that's to get investors and different business partners, but that has allowed me to then we've got a couple of admins, we've got a social media manager, you know, and in the past I was doing it all myself. You know, I was a sort of one man band and trying to do it all, finding properties, finding investors, doing all the admin, dealing with lenders and solicitors and builders, and you know, now again, work smarter, not harder. So it's about, for me, I want to build whatever, grow the marketing business, but grow the property business as well.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of where I'm at now. Is I've now got, you know, I've offloaded a lot of stuff myself that I can then focus. So the past sort of few months, I've not been doing a huge amount of work for the marketing clients, for example, because I've been in the room with sort of wealthy individuals that you know, they've reached out to us on the back of social media or paid ads where they want to, you know, either buy property themselves or become investors. So for me, I want to get more private investment on board to do more of my own projects. You know, and where I'm assessing a project and it doesn't fit my criteria, I still might, you know, trade that one on type of thing. But the view would be to do more of my own projects.
Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it, when you've got that kind of business that you can put an impact on, you know, in the sense of building it and growing it. And it's good that you're starting to think that whole, you know, definition of working smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy that many people are putting in countless hours, and by the sounds of it, you're not afraid to put the work in.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same for most people, but it's whether you're focused on the right type of work, that smart working, in order
Yeah.
to get the greatest return.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've sat up till, you know, midnight, small hours in the morning, you know, like I just felt I had to be doing something. I'm quite hard on myself and I'm quite impatient. And I know it's, you know, you want to be patient with your results, but, you know, impatient with your actions type of thing. And I always had to be doing something, but, you know, again, you learn by doing, but in hindsight, yeah, I was, you know, I felt like a busy fool at times, but I always knew that I would figure it out. But again, having a sort of engineer's brain, I always wanted to know the details of how everything works, you know, and someone once said to me, you know, you don't need to know how a car engine works to drive a car, you know. So for me, it's shifting away from a sort of how, you know, I've always been a how entrepreneur, how do I do that? And if I don't know, I go figure it out. But it's having that mindset shift to being a who entrepreneur. It's like, who do I need to do that for me, as
Yeah.
opposed to, you know, so you can free up your time to focus on the sort of bigger money making tasks that can, you know, propel your business and generate more success.
Yeah, great mindset and a great approach to doing it, you
Yeah.
know. So for sure you're going to see a lot of success off the back of that, which is exciting.
Yeah, hopefully.
So for those that are maybe listening in, how can they reach out to you? How can they catch up with you? Where would they find you online?
Yeah, get me on all social platforms: Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Yeah, I've got the sort of personal pages, I've got the property pages, and the digital marketing pages as well. So Elemental Agency and PMKY Property.
Brilliant. So what we'll do is we'll link off in the show notes. You've got all the social handles and stuff to connect with you as well.
Yep.
But it's been an absolute pleasure having a conversation, chat with you. I know for sure that in the coming months, as things really start to take off further for you, we'll have you back on here, no doubt, having a conversation and chat about what deals you're working on as well. So
Yeah, hope
Paddy,
so.
thanks again for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Brilliant. And as always, if you get any comments, pop it in the question or pop it in the comments box below. We'll go in there and respond to them. I'm sure Paddy will keep an eye on those as well. Make sure you connect and reach out with them too. And until next time, all the best and bye for now.